In September of 1998, the Baltimore Ravens beat the Cincinnati Bengals 31-24 in an otherwise ordinary rivalry matchup. But something was different that game. The broadcast introduced viewers to a yellow digitally enclosed first down line that has since become a ubiquitous and familiar symbol among football fans. Technology had altered the way we experience sports forever. That same type of innovative impact on sports is underway today, and sports gaming in particular is at its forefront. As someone who has spent a considerable amount of time in the broadcast industry, to me there have been four seismic shifts in recent sports history. The first happened in 1979 when ESPN began broadcasting. The second came a decade later in 1989 when WFAN launched as the first all-sports talk radio station in the country. The third, the launch of the World Wide Web with the launch of ESPN.net at SportsZone.com in April of 1995. And the fourth was just a couple of years ago, in 2018, when the Supreme Court struck down PASPA and paved the way for legalized sports betting. That fourth shift could prove to be the most significant and is the reason we're all gathered here today, because we understand the far-reaching potential of this industry. What is somewhat paradoxical about legal sports betting through the American lens is that domestically, we're still in the midst of a relatively nascent space despite decades of market validity and industry growth overseas. Only a fraction of the US today offers regulated betting. And while at DraftKings, we're up and running in many of those states, the market is far from being fully realized. Consider the fact that we're merely a year removed from the first full NFL season with legalized betting, or that official sportsbook operator partnerships with prominent professional leagues are only a recent development in a continued shift away from long-held hesitancies. As of May 2020, the 2-year anniversary of PASPA's repeal, more than $20 billion had been bet with US Sportsbook, and we've only just scratched the surface. Most everyone understands the key factor that betting brings to the table in terms of increased fan engagement and how that subsequently raises the value of teams, media rights, and much more. In short, sports betting enhances the fan experience and causes a valuable ripple effect. We acknowledge that the modern fan's affiliation with sports is fluid, often no longer following a single team or sport, but instead opting for a multitude of different teams, sports, options, and immersions. We firmly believe the American sports betting market will eventually rise to the top globally, but while predictive trends and momentum are exciting, we find ourselves in an unprecedented set of circumstances today and have to address that impact. At the time when we would normally have seen freshly crowned NBA finals and Stanley Cup champions and been treated to a long-awaited summer of baseball and more, the American sports betting industry, and the global industry for that matter, has instead been stripped of its cornerstone sports due to the coronavirus pandemic. The gaming industry, like nearly every other, has been negatively impacted by the outbreak and will make up lost ground this year without question. According to the American Gaming Association, industry-wide revenue is expected to decline just over 40%, or near $39 billion in 2020. The H2 Gambling Capital has downgraded its 2020 expectations for global gambling as well by 25%, or about $100 billion before its pre-outbreak forecast. These are among the new harsh realities we're collectively having to face. But I have already been immensely encouraged by the resilience of our industry and the brimming fandom that is still pouring through and primed to be fully unleashed. While the general devastation has been a nightmare and the recovery process will take time, this pause in sports has given us a new understanding of both the betting market and today's fan. Since the sports hiatus began, DraftKings pivoted with product innovation focused around alternative offerings like esports, table tennis, while also branching further into non-sports betting options such as politics and pop culture. A common phrase we began using was that sports may be on hold, but DraftKings is certainly not. In the past several months, we launched our own mobile sportsbook in new states like Colorado, became a public company through a SPAC merger and our acquisition of SB Tech Global Limited, developed and introduced live streaming capabilities within our sportsbook app, launched our first standalone casino product, and much more. We showcase the kind of grit and brilliance that attracted me to join this team almost 3 years ago. Our fan and product first approach has allowed us to stay engaged with the American sports fan. We have been there for them, and we will continue to be there for them. What we have learned during this period is that the fan demand for sports is stronger than we could have ever anticipated. The absence of popularly bet leagues like the NBA, NHL, and MLB has created a vacuum for fan engagement that has been redirected toward new sports events. We've seen PGA Tour golf has been a particular beneficiary of this pent-up fandom as tournaments have resumed play and exemplified how deeply fans crave live sports content and entertainment. Take, for example, the TAYLORMADE Driving Relief Charity Golf Competition back in May. A single afternoon event comprised of just 4 golfers ended up accounting for 95% of the handle DraftKings Sportsbook took on live wagering across all 4 of last year's majors combined. Or look at the Charles Schwab Challenge, which partway through its opening round became our most heavily bet PGA Tour tournament of all time. During the Match Champions for Charity tournament, where Tiger Woods, Peyton Manning faced off against Phil Mickelson and Tom Brady, DraftKings featured the first ever live odds during a national golf broadcast from a sportsbook operator, and the resulting engagement spikes were massive en route to the match becoming the most bet on golf event in company history. Perhaps most staggering is what this level of engagement signals for when marquee leagues and games do return, and why the mobile and online aspects of modern betting has never been more important. What is clear is sports are roaring back. The PGA Tour, UFC, NASCAR are all already seeing unprecedented levels of activity only a few weeks since sports has returned. The American public needs sports. To our friends and colleagues in the media business, those of you that take a fan and product first approach with a long view of how you can create the best experience for viewers with great technologies and products that are woven into your legacy products, you will be rewarded by viewers. You will have more people watch and watch longer because they are more engaged with your broadcasts. If you look at this to drive just your P&L through short-term financial gains with subpar products and relationships, you will fail to satisfy your viewers, the American sports fan. Regardless, we continue to engage these fans wherever they are. I think DraftKings and our competitors have demonstrated through our DFS and sports betting products how innovation and great products can lead to market leadership. The computing power that resides in our pockets these days is difficult to comprehend. If you're familiar with all the early supercomputers, you know the hardware that used to fill entire warehouses would now be overwhelmingly outsmarted by the mobile devices that fit in our palms. Smartphones changed everything, and sports betting is no exception. In New Jersey, for example, mobile continues to account for 80% of the total wagering revenue, according to Eilers & Krejcik Gaming. There are currently 46 nationwide sportsbook apps available. To date, since August 2018, there have been an estimated 4.7 million downloads to mobile devices across the country. Notably, over 60% of those downloads have occurred in the past year alone, as new brands have entered the market and national expansion has spread. While the growth and convenience of betting online is impactful under normal circumstances, it has been becomingly exceedingly vital in the middle of a global pandemic. Mobile matters. Mobile has enabled fans to continue to engage in sports gaming from the safety and comfort of their homes. And while retail sportsbook locations are significant for the greater industry, even a preference among some fans, they are hampered by this pandemic in ways where mobile is unaffected. As we have seen with the initial league rollouts, the return of sports does not mean a return to the way things used to be. A new normal is here for the time being. The seats of many stadiums will likely go unfilled as action unfolds on the field or court. New protocols and contingencies will become commonplace. The games we love will both be the same and different simultaneously. But while so many adjustments take place in and around sports, mobile betting and innovation will remain constant. Fans will still be able to place their pregame and in-game wagers thanks to mobile carriers. The American fan will reward those organizations that innovate, focus on the fan first, and provide an innovative set of products To me, live betting via mobile represents one of the most intriguing and largely untapped areas of the American market. And with live sports likely being more distant from fans than before, the ability to watch and bet in real time can help give that sense of closeness and engagement to the games. Fans have always wanted to feel closer to their favorite leagues, teams, and players and fellow enthusiasts. And for the past several months, that desire has been especially noticeable. The industry was knocked down by an opponent few could imagine. And that fight rages far beyond just our sports and gaming universes. But in the truest of forms, make no mistake that our country, American sports, the fan, and the American sports betting industry will rise and return stronger than ever. To everyone listening, thank you for your time, stay safe, and enjoy the rest of SBC's Digital Summit. Thank you.